Welcome to Bad Boss Detox, a podcast about breaking the chains of fear in your toxic workplace. Because constant anxiety shouldn't be in anyone's job description. Today, we're exposing the fear tactics bad bosses use to keep you trapped, and some of the fears you may have that are keeping you stuck. We'll talk about how to break free without losing your sanity or your paycheck.
Hey, Ivy. How you doing?
Katie. I'm great. How are you?
I'm great.
Oh, good.
We had a very exciting week, didn't we?
OMG. Yes. We
Yes.
started a podcast.
Imagine. So this is episode 4 that we're recording right now,
Yep.
but as of this week, the first episode was just released. And I am so dang excited. I don't know, it's just a totally new adventure, and I've already learned so much doing just a couple of episodes, and we've had such a freaking blast. And the response has been great.
So great. My husband said, Kitten's a podcaster. I'm Kitten.
Yeah, I got to put it in my client outreach email that I send out every season. So that was cute.
Oh, I got a text from my good boss after he listened to it. And
Oh.
he said, excellent podcast. You sounded great. Clear voice, no ums or ahs, no sense of nerves. Nice job. When are you quitting?
Nice job. When are you quitting?
When am I quitting his work? He said the name of where I work, but we're not supposed to say that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice job.
That's really
When are
sweet
you
of
quitting?
him.
I said never.
Yeah.
Never, ever.
Yeah. You know what it's like to have a bad job. You're never quitting the good one.
No. Why would I?
That is excellent. I'm really
Yep.
proud of us, and I'm really excited for where this can go. Everybody that has listened to it has been really sweet and complimentary so far, and we have some great stuff coming up. So I'm stoked.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. This is so much fun, too.
I did want to say that after we did our narcissism episode, and I was listening back to it and editing it and everything, that it kind of made me examine some of my own toxic shit that I've been guilty of doing
Uh-huh.
and think about my own insecurities. And that was a really positive experience for me. I was doing some self-reflection.
Oh, wow.
And,
good.
you know, even if you're not working for a narcissist, kind of good to think about, oh, shit. Yeah, that's not nice. Why do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
We like self-reflection.
I love it when I find out the truth about something, especially like in other relationships when you think everything is going great or whatever, and then somebody says, I don't like it when you, and
Yeah.
then you're like, oh, well, then I'm going to stop that
Yeah.
instead of, oh, well, fuck you,
Yeah.
right?
We call that doubling down.
Mm.
When somebody gets defensive and they're just like, actually, it's you who's a dick for calling me out. As Ivy said, this week we're going to talk about fear. Ooh, scary.
Mm.
And beating the fear specifically.
I
Are we
like
gonna
your
beat it with
little
a baseball
comment
bat?
with a baseball bat.
Maybe we'll just use our hands.
Yeah.
Because certainly we won't sever an artery.
Yeah, because why not? All right. So you're terrified to quit your toxic job. Let's fix that. First off, if your job is sucking the soul out of you like a corporate dementor, it's not just a job problem. It's going to wind up being a life problem.
Mhm.
But quitting is scary. What if you end up broke, blacklisted, or worst of all, with another toxic boss?
Mhm.
Take deep breaths. Let's get you out strategically with your sanity at least mostly intact. All of these fears and feelings are reasonable and valid. But if you've decided you need to move on, but you're being held back by fear, that needs to be addressed.
So for me, fear and anxiety, it all gets wrapped up together in this nasty spiral. And it comes from a place of not knowing what to expect, right? Feeling out of control of my situation. But intentionally taking steps toward escaping this environment and making the choice to protect your happiness and your future, feeling like you have a plan. This can really alleviate your fears.
Toxic work breeds and feeds on fear. Really, a toxic, exploitative workplace wants their workers to be afraid, feel powerless and trapped, just like a toxic boyfriend or girlfriend. They want you to feel like you have no choice but to stay and put up with their shit because they need you.
Yeah, you're delicious.
Right?
You're their food.
They might also make you feel like you are replaceable and you should feel lucky to have this job because you could be replaced just like that. Whatever ways they're keeping you down, know that it is intentional. Making you afraid to leave means they can keep abusing you and taking advantage of you.
So as a public school teacher, and I hate to say this, but this is what was happening. We were indoctrinated into fear on day one of our teacher in-service every year. Even new hires would go through an orientation. There would be a lawyer who would come and speak to us about all the things that we could do wrong and get ourselves sued or fired over.
Lord.
We were discouraged from using social media at all because there was just too much risk of exposing something some uptight parent would think was inappropriate. Not even really inappropriate, but just in some parents' eyes. And we could get fired over it.
That is insanity to me.
Yeah. We were not supposed to have photos of ourselves in bikinis if we went to the beach. We were not supposed to have alcoholic drinks in our hand for any reason. I got flack for posting photos of myself at a Pride festival with my friends, just like a selfie with my friends at Pride. And there was nothing inappropriate in the picture. It was just my friends and I looking cute, you know? And somebody got all uptight about it and upset.
Yeah, you don't want to be caught being with
Can't
the
be
gays.
Can't be caught expressing yourself authentically or supporting my friends who do so.
There's a TikToker. His name is Mr. Williams, I think, and he's a preschool teacher, and he's gay, and he paints his fingernails, and sometimes he goes to the liquor store and buys a bottle of wine. And he talks about that all the time. Teachers aren't supposed to be human.
Right. We were really treated like we were supposed to be nuns. You know, when I worked at a Catholic school, that was a little more understandable because the nuns were held to that standard. But as a layperson, I shouldn't have been, you know? So they expected us to be just these perfect saints. And it was really oppressive, frankly, because
I can't with the not allowed. I mean, I would be fired on day one at any other job ever than the one that I do.
I mean, as a teacher, no, it is not the place to be spouting your political beliefs in the classroom. But that's not what I was doing. That's not what anyone was doing. We were just trying to support the kids and make them feel safe so that they could learn. Anyway, that was kind of a tangent. Yeah, that's okay.
All right. So less money, more problems, right? We're going to skip over financial concerns for now, since those concerns are a little more common sense. And there are a lot of better qualified people than me and Katie out there who can teach you how to save money and avoid debt. But if you guys do want a whole episode on this, we can definitely share some tips later on. Just know that it's important to evaluate your expenses and start saving enough to cover them for a few months at least. If you decide to go the route of starting your own business, it's a good idea to accumulate savings to cover close to a year's worth expenses to give yourself ample time to get your business off the ground.
I mean, I feel like we don't need to sit here and lecture people on how to have a good credit score.
Yeah.
But that's something you need to consider. If you don't have any financial literacy, don't be ashamed about it, but do go search that stuff out because it's going to help you. So let's talk about the fear of losing your health insurance. This one is so real and it's so legit, and I feel you. It's a real concern. And if that's the only thing that's keeping you in a job, then what you need to do is find another job and get hired in another job that will have health benefits for you before you quit. Point blank, that's what you got to do. But if you're going to start your own business, you got to have some other considerations. Now, healthcare.gov in the U.S. is currently not set to go away. I did not check the news today, but I don't think that they are getting rid of it right this second.
I haven't heard anything about getting rid of it.
Yeah, well, we know the current administration would love to do that. So,
well, sure.
I'm not holding my breath. It looks like the cost of marketplace coverage may go up after the end of this year, though.
And unfortunately, we don't have a great strategy for this issue right now. But we want to be honest about that. It's definitely worth checking out healthcare.gov and seeing what your premium might be if you were to lose access to health insurance through your job.
Never hurts to check.
Absolutely.
I was on marketplace coverage all of last year until I was able to get on my husband's health insurance, and it was fine. It was pretty good. It was better than what I had through my teaching job, actually, and I didn't have to pay anything for it because my income was too low starting out. But as soon as you start making above a certain amount, your premium goes up, so you just have to weigh those options.
Yeah. But what else could I even do? Well, list your transferable skills. If you can handle Karen from accounting and your micromanaging boss, you've got leadership and crisis management down.
Yeah, crisis management. Boy, do I have that skill as a teacher. Do you play Dungeons and Dragons? Well, that's creative problem solving.
You can explore other careers. Maybe you were never meant for middle management hell. I know I wasn't.
Me either.
I would be burned at the stake in the corporate world. Maybe you were born to open a food truck.
Yeah. So think about what you wanted to be as a kid. What did you see yourself doing when you were like 8 years old? Or when you were in high school as you were starting to find your identity and everything? How can you return to that more authentic version of yourself? You know, the one that existed before you were forced to squeeze into a box for your job? This could also be a good time to reconnect with your non-work identity. So pick up some old hobbies that you haven't had time for or the energy for. Spend some more time with your friends and just try to remember who you are outside of this job. And once you do that, you're going to start to have things come to you a little more clearly about what maybe you could do besides this shitty job.
And some people just want a job to make some money, which is fine too, as long as, I never had a sort of passion for anything. And I had a conversation with my son's now ex-girlfriend about it once. And we were talking about how she doesn't know what she wants to do. She doesn't know because she doesn't have a passion. And my passions were always, I say that with quotations because they were always temporary. I wanted to be an actress in high school. And I'm new to feminism. I never wanted, I wanted to be a housewife. Like that's what I wanted to be. I wasn't joking in my high school yearbook when I said I wanted the station wagon with the wood paneling. I wanted to be a housewife. But my daughter-in-law said to me, you do have a passion. Your passion is helping people, which is why I'm good at being a personal assistant and bad at sitting in a cubicle, which I wouldn't know because I've never sat in a cubicle, but I don't think I would be good at it. And they would not let me wear what I wanted to wear.
I love that. I think that we need to talk about that more when we get into our Women in the Workplace episode.
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
I love that you kind of changed your mentality and grew into that a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with anybody who has an ambition to be a mother. And that's what you really want to do. And that's what you love the most. That's where you want to put all of your energy. Please do. Those people are amazing parents.
Well, I kind of wanted to be the housewife without kids, but that's a whole other thing. I have kids and did not marry a man who made enough money for me to be the typical stay-at-home mom in the 90s. So let's talk about loyalty, which is my best and my worst personality trait. It is why I stayed at my job for way too long out of loyalty. It didn't hurt or help that I was pretty much set to inherit a couple of houses as well as a huge mess and a little bit of cash. But loyalty should be mutual. If your boss wouldn't hesitate to replace you tomorrow, why are you losing sleep over leaving? Calculate what you've sacrificed. Unpaid overtime, missed family events, stress-related health problems. Is that really worth it? I can't tell you how many things that she took me away from on purpose. Notice who actually benefits. Your loyalty could be padding your boss's pockets, not your paycheck or your well-being.
Yeah. If you're not getting overtime, woof. Like, come on. You got to be honest with yourself and take your feelings out of it for a second, right? that money that you could have been making is just gone.
Over
your
the
boss
past
sucks.
25 years, I got a total of $5 in raises. 25 years.
What?
A total of $5.
That's way worse than teachers.
No, I was
was
paid
bad.
so badly, but there was other financial benefits to the whole thing. And I guess it's part of that whole keeping you down thing. I just didn't think I could do anything else. I didn't think I could make anything more.
Yeah. I'm sorry. But clearly, you're out here doing something else.
It's okay now.
Yeah.
All roads led me to here.
Yeah. Well, if you are feeling this loyalty, then what you need to do is detach emotionally from that workplace guilt trap.
Mm-hmm.
They will replace you, and they probably won't even feel bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
Think of the people who already left. Did the company crumble and fall apart without them? No. You are allowed to put yourself first.
Yes, you are.
If you wouldn't stay loyal to a bad friend or a bad relationship, why would you stay loyal to a bad job? Picture yourself at a healthier job. What would it feel like to work somewhere that values you? Imagine someone you love stuck in your job. What advice would you give them? Now take it yourself.
Mm-hmm. Get out.
Because if you wouldn't let your friend or your younger sibling or your child go through this, then you don't deserve it either. You're also a human who has people that love you.
Mm-hmm.
Breaking the loyalty trap is all about shifting your perspective. You don't owe your toxic job anything, but you do owe yourself peace of mind.
Oh, the loss of coworkers.
Yeah.
I have a couple of work husbands that never leaving the job that they're at, but it just would break my heart. Going along with loyalty, there is the fear of missing your work friends. When you've been through a terrible situation with another person, it can create a trauma bond and make you feel close to those people. Maybe your work friends are the only ones who really get it. And I have a few people that worked either with me or around me for my former boss. And there is kind of a, I know in their eyes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, but they're the only ones who really get it. And it feels heartbreaking to not see them every day anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This one is real too. Real friends will be happy for you if you decide to follow a new path, if they're really your friends.
Yeah.
Try planning a get-together with your work posse so you can catch up and keep in touch, even just on social media, and be brave and join a networking group. That's how I met Katie. For me, I've struggled with the loss of the good side of my former boss. We worked closely for 25 years, shared all of our personal lives with each other until she suddenly deemed me scary and quit me cold turkey, just like she did smoking and drinking. One day we were having our mani and pedi together, and a few days later she just went cold and nothing personal was ever mentioned ever again. There's so many things that happened in my life, and I'm sure in hers. I mean, I don't know, because she became just distant. It sort of hurt my feelings. Like, there's a loss there that I can't really describe because I can't really even describe the job.
Well, for me, this one was really tough as well.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved my students, and they were like family to me. I don't have kids of my own. I'm not planning on having kids of my own. They were my kids. They're as close as I'm going to get to that. And I treated them like my own children, and then I didn't have them in my life anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a vested interest in watching them grow up and thrive and see all the cool things they're going to grow up to do that I may not ever know now. I loved most of my coworkers, too. I had some close friends there. And we were trauma bonded after going through COVID together. Working in my closet alone all day, every day, is pretty lonely sometimes. Now that I'm a voice actor, sometimes I don't see another human being except for my husband for like a whole week. And so I make a point to go see a friend at least once a week. But it was really hard for me for the first year when I was missing my school family and even feeling FOMO about events that were going on. I made a point to leave on good terms with everybody so that I could be welcome to come back and visit. And sometimes I still go to the school events. I went to see their play a few weeks ago, and I got to see some of my old friends there, and it was great.
Fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did run into my principal, and he was like, I didn't even know you got married. And I was like, yep. It's nice that I didn't burn a bridge there. I'm glad that I didn't storm out or whatever.
Sure. The routine and structure that you were used to. What will your days look like now? This one is real for me. I have a lot of more free time now, and I'm trying to learn how my new day is going to go. It's good for you to have a routine, make yourself a schedule, and stick to it if that's what makes you thrive. Waking up at the same time every day, taking breaks, scheduling blocks of times for activities and things you need to do. Keep a running to-do list. If you're going to end up being your own boss as a freelancer or running your own business, then you will need to be able to handle your own calendar until you can afford a personal assistant like me.
I could never afford you. You're too valuable.
Well, if you got my old rate, you might. I'm still actually getting into the groove of the change. I told my husband this morning on our morning call that I'm still trying to figure out what my new life looks like.
Yeah, that's fair. And it takes time. So for me, as a person with ADHD, this was also tricky. When I left teaching, I wasn't going into another full-time job right away because I was doing freelance work. I had to go out and hustle for clients and do a zillion auditions before landing enough gigs to make ends meet. So I made myself goals. I tried to do X number of auditions a day or a week. And I keep a bullet journal to maintain my own schedule. And that's been tremendously helpful for me. I was doing that before I quit teaching just because ADHD, I just need a physical piece of paper to show me what I'm doing.
I need that too. Do you ever write something down after you do it just to cross it off?
Yes, I do. And it gives me a little dopamine rush, and I'm not ashamed.
Me neither. Yeah. If I forgot to put it on the list or I added it later and I've already done it, I will write it down and I will cross it off.
Yes.
Let's move on to the psychological fears. This is where we want to focus the most for this episode because toxic workplaces want you to feel afraid of leaving. And if you've been manipulated by, let's say, a fucking narcissist, then these thoughts may be dominating your own inner monologue. But everything is figure-outable. Let's break it down.
So, self-doubt. Am I overreacting? What if I'm the problem? Well, I mean, that's certainly possible because everybody's capable of miscommunicating, making mistakes, whatever. But if you own up to what you've done wrong when you've been corrected, instead of doubling down or getting defensive, then that's good. You probably have screwed up a few times at work. We all have. Try talking to a trusted coworker who seems to have their shit together and get their honest opinion. Be prepared for them to say, yeah, you should have done this differently or whatever, but take in their feedback, try to adjust accordingly. If you're willing to do this, and you're working from a mindset of growth and trying to get better, applying constructive feedback, then you're probably not the problem, or at least not the whole problem.
Fear of regret. What if I leave and things suddenly improve? They won't.
Yeah.
This is truly a gamble. And are you willing to risk your health and your sanity, your future happiness? You can't wait around forever for things to magically get better. Like me. How long are you willing to wait? If you're seeing a pattern of toxic behavior and you've brought it up with management or HR, or like me, with direct face-to-face conversation and then get it used against you, and they are not taking your concerns seriously, it's time to make a break for it. As Oprah once said, once someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Yeah, I love that quote. That turned out to be applicable to a lot of people in my life.
Yeah, mine too.
So there's also this sunk cost fallacy. And this is the idea that we should continue investing in something, whether it's money, time, or effort that you're investing, simply because we've already put so much into it, even when it's clearly not working. Instead of just cutting our losses, we keep going, hoping to justify our past investment. Like, I went to college for this. I might as well use my degree. Well, sadly, I'm not using my teaching degree now. I am using all of my knowledge and a lot of the skills that I acquired during that time that I was teaching. Besides, there's that weird degree requirement for many jobs. You know what I mean? They just want you to have a degree in something, even if it's underwater basket weaving. It doesn't really matter. If you're like, if you have a bachelor's, then they're like, good, check.
How toxic workplaces use it against you. Toxic jobs love weaponizing the sunk cost fallacy. They make you feel like leaving would mean throwing away all your past efforts. You've been here for 10 years. You can't start over now. You've worked so hard for this promotion. Don't quit now, even though the promotion never comes, which is what happened to my son.
They just dangle it.
And give it to somebody they know. Think of all the training we've given you, as if that somehow obligates you to stay in misery.
Yeah, your training might be useful somewhere else.
Exactly.
All right, so here's how to fight it, this sunk cost fallacy. Acknowledge the loss, because that time or effort or financial investment is already gone. Don't let it dictate your future. You're not going to get it back if you stay. It's already gone. But also don't be tricked if they're like dangling a promotion in front of you or something like, after we get through this merger, then we're going to promote you to whatever. I have seen so many horror stories about people that are like, they said they were going to promote me and then they gave it to the boss's sister.
Right.
Like, yeah. But basically, don't let your past suffering trick you into future suffering. Toxic workplaces count on this fallacy to keep people trapped. But you're smarter than that. Because you're listening to a podcast about how to escape this shit. And I'm proud of you, listeners.
It all kind of sounds like if you keep doing the same thing and expect a different result, you're
the
insane.
Definition of insanity. Yep. Yep.
That's what all of that sounds like to me. Baby steps. Here are some things you can start to do immediately as soon as you decide you want to leave. These baby steps can help alleviate your fears by helping you feel prepared for the transition. Keep receipts. Model integrity. Document paper trail. We talked about this some in the previous episode, but it is really important to have documentation of what you're dealing with. When you present all the receipts that you've kept, you want to make sure you aren't coming off as part of the problem. Every email or text response you write should be constructed as if you're presenting it in front of a jury.
Yeah. Assume that someone else is going to see it and then ask yourself, am I being an asshole? I should probably erase that and try that again. So as a teacher, we were reminded all the time that our emails were actually public record and could be subpoenaed in court for whatever reason. Our teacher email is what I'm talking about. Yeah. So we covered our asses however we could. This was part of their fear tactic of like assuming that we're going to get sued at some point. But in this current political climate, it actually became good advice. So really think about, assume that someone else is going to read your text response and then construct it so that you don't look like an asshole. So this is why I prefer to have difficult conversations via email, because it gives me time to formulate my thoughts, take emotion out of it, because I'm a crier. I cry for like almost no reason. I could be watching an Oreo commercial and I'll start crying. A Publix commercial makes me cry.
I read my bio to Jody last night and choked up. I was like, why am I crying?
Aw. It's the lunar eclipse. It's making us all crazy. Crying is my default emotional response for stress, anger, hurt, joy, whatever. So in these situations, if you're dealing with a narcissist, perhaps, remember that every display of emotion is fuel for them.
Yes.
So starve the beast. Do not let them feed off of you.
The exit plan, the sneaky exit. Make sure that you leave this job with professional dignity. And you don't burn a bridge if you can possibly help it. As fun as it sounds to indulge in the fantasy of flipping your boss the double birds, slamming the door on your way out, screaming F you, just don't. If you're worried about retaliation, this is where you cover your ass. Show your receipts to HR. follow their policies about giving proper notice. If you have an exit interview, be honest, not emotional. Do not make big decisions when you are in fear mode. If you're going to move on from this toxic job and allow yourself to fully thrive, you must be in a rational mindset and have a strategy.
I'm not super old. I'm 41, but I feel like I have enough life experience to say that the choices I have made out of fear are always the ones that I end up regretting. When I let go of the fear and I assess my situation from a calm and objective point of view, I can sidestep that lizard brain and make a much better choice. And this requires a lot of intentional mindfulness and effort. So how do you get out of your lizard brain?
Self-care.
Yep.
This is another Gen X take on this, but self-care as a phrase annoys me a little bit, only because I think self-care seems to me obvious. You have to take care of yourself. And with all of this social media, all of the self-care videos and products that now have 10-year-olds spending hundreds of dollars at Sephora.
Oh, girl, yes.
Yeah, it drives me insane. But
yes, I
you
totally
do
get what
have
you're
to
saying.
take care of yourself. You have to, disease happens to people who have a lot of stress. It makes you sick. So you got to prevent that. You have to think clearly. You have to take action towards your dreams. You have to find peace. A friend of mine said, "Do you mind if I do sleep meditation?" And I was like, "Well, what are you going to be doing?" And she was like, "I'm just going to wear a headband and listen to my sleep meditation." And it took me about a year to actually look that up. I found these podcasts. Now, I am not being sponsored by these podcasts, but I'm going to name them because they're so great. So the first one I found,
somebody.
Oh my God, they helped me so much. So Sleep Magic, the host of that is Jessica, and Jessica is a hypnotist, and she does sleep hypnosis. So Sleep Magic is the sleep hypnosis. And then Carissa does sleep waves. So you don't have to pay for them. You can get them free, but you have to listen to ads at the very beginning. They put all the ads at the very beginning so that once the meditation starts, you're not startled by some guy trying to sell you whatever he's trying to sell you. So they come together now on an app called Sleepiest, and there's also bedtime stories. It's the best thing I ever did for myself, aside from quitting the toxic job, because sleep is really important, and you don't know how much better your life can be when you're getting good sleep. Meditation, mindfulness practices, it may seem like, hippy-dippy nonsense. They are legitimately helpful in developing your own self-awareness. Mindfulness gives you more control over your reactions. And it really helped me to not react. It helped me to actually practice the gray rock.
Yeah. It's like a superpower.
Absolutely. I never knew. You cannot control how someone else behaves. You can only control how you react. And this can be the difference in you flying off the handle and making a situation way worse, especially with a narcissist.
Yep.
And you taking a deep breath and going into gray rock mode.
I wanted to take a second to talk about the way that self-care was treated in our public school culture. And I agree with you that term has been kind of commercialized, and now people are capitalizing on this self-care trend, which sucks. Self-care was taught to us in teacher in-service days. So we would have to listen to presentations about self-care and how to cope with stress. So that was all helpful, except that they were putting the responsibility on us to manage the stress that they were putting on us. Instead of just addressing the actual source of the problem or the actual source of our stress, they were then making it our job to self-care ourselves magically out of this toxic situation, which cannot really be done. Self-care is kind of the Band-Aid in a lot of cases. It can get you through the rough time, but it's not going to be the only thing you need. You need to leave, is the bottom line. One of the major problems was the lack of substitute teachers that were available. And this is a nationwide problem. I have not met a teacher anywhere in this country who would say, yeah, we've totally got enough subs. It's all fine. So here's how this happens. There's very few subs available in the subsystem that when you are sick or you need to take a day off, you have to put it into this automated system and somebody will come up. The requirements to be a sub are so low. Like, I don't even think you have to have a GED or a high school diploma or anything.
Anybody can be a sub.
Yeah, I don't think you have to have a background check, nothing. So these are just randos.
They're babysitters.
Okay? They're babysitters. Well, I was treated like a babysitter most of the time too, but at least I was a glorified babysitter. These are like random people off the street sometimes that you have to trust your children that you care about, your students that you've invested a lot in, with them. They may or may not follow your lesson plan, etc. If they show up at all. Like, I had plenty of times where I put in to have a sub and they just ghosted me. I needed a sub and no sub showed up, that the other teachers on my team would have to cover my class for me in addition to their class.
Right.
So they would just have 70 kids at a time with one person supervising them. And this meant that there was a lot of guilt in having to get a sub, because chances were that meant that my friend was going to have to cover my class. So then we felt guilty for being sick.
Right.
Which was really messed up. The other thing was COVID was horrible. I don't really have the time to get into all of it, but like the basic situation was that we were forced to go back to in-person school way too soon. There was no structure. They really didn't even know how the virus was being transmitted. There was no good information happening. And online learning was
They just needed to shut up those moms.
Yeah. We had online learning that it might be like 2 weeks we're in online learning and then we go back in person, but the next day we could go back to online learning, and we had no idea. Like, you can't plan for that.
Really? I didn't know that happened. It was back and forth?
Yes, It was back and forth, and sometimes in a totally unpredictable way. Not only that, but when we were back in person, the parents in my county fought the mask mandate tooth and nail. Okay? Like, I'm not a scientist. I don't really know if the masks were helping that much or not. But that was literally the only thing that might have been protecting teachers and kids from transmitting this thing just rampantly. And there were people that were like, no, I don't want to. It was definitely stressful. And so the fact that they were touting this self-care as our responsibility when they were doing all this to us was kind of bullshit.
You're not just leaving a job. You're reclaiming your life. No more Sunday scaries. No more per my last email rage spirals. No more small heart attacks when you see your boss's name pop up on your phone. Just freedom. And it is sweet.
Well, if you are going through this right now, you need to get some support because you deserve better. So talk to your people. Talk to somebody about it. Don't feel like you will be looked down upon. Talk to your friends, a career coach, your favorite podcasters, maybe. Our email address is stories@badbossdetox.com. Talk to your dog. Whatever helps you keep your head on straight. You can join quitting communities. I didn't know if you guys know this, but there's lots of these on the internet. And trust me, they have some cool memes. Like, I've laughed a lot of times at some of this stuff. So we have a couple that I'm going to give you now. Some of these are from Reddit, and they're all r/whatever. So it's r/toxic workplace, r/hate my job, r/managed by narcissists, r/bad bosses, and many, many more. I have also connected with some cool people on Reddit who are sharing stories with us. So thank you, Reddit friends.
Great.
Also on Facebook, Facebook is popping for this kind of stuff, and I'm not a big Facebook user, but apparently I need to be because it's all over there. The group that we just joined yesterday is called Justice at Work, Toxic Workplace and Discrimination Support Advocacy Network. And this group is awesome.
Yep.
So the post that she made the other day was about the Americans with Disabilities Act supporting mental health conditions in the workplace. Because if you've been diagnosed with anxiety and depression, that's a mental health condition, and your work is legally obligated to provide accommodations for that condition. So that's good to know. And I was like, wow, I wish I'd known that a couple of years ago. Also, therapy is a game changer, you guys. We keep saying we're not therapists, but it's because we have so much respect for our therapists and we don't want to step on anybody's toes. you need to go to a real therapist. If this is happening to you, you might be surprised how much this has wrecked your mental health. And it might be time for a professional detox.
And one final thought. If you're waiting for permission to quit, here it is. Quit.
There you go.
No paycheck is worth daily misery. You are not a corporate, or in my case, personal, serf. You are not alone in this. Your future, happier and healthier self will thank you.
Absolutely.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah. And you're not even that far out of it. You're still at 2 months out?
Yeah, it's 2 months and 10 days. So think about what's worse. The fear of taking the leap and leaving your job, not knowing what will happen, or the idea of wasting away in a miserable career for the rest of your life, treating yourself and sometimes the ones who actually do matter like shit to please someone else.
That's what it came down to for me.
Me too.
Was I more afraid of not knowing what would happen or the person I might become if I never quit?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to be yelling at my then partner, my now husband? Do I want to be not allowed to see my friends at Pride? Do I want to be disappointed in myself for taking abuse? No, I'd rather just be brave. And then I put this picture in here. I'm sure you know this image.
Mm-hmm.
This is the very hot Harrison Ford. It's one of those Indiana Jones movies, and it's the one where he has to take a step out into this gorge that looks like he's going to fall to his death. But when he takes the step, there's a bridge there that was camouflaged into the rock. So for me, making that decision to leave, it really made me feel like Indiana Jones. I was just taking this leap of faith, stepping out into nothing and just hoping I didn't fall and crash and burn.
Yeah.
There is absolutely a ton of courage required.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, at least, it was way scarier thinking about how my life might turn out if I stayed. And I'm so, so much happier. I make more money now than I ever did teaching, and I've only been full-time at this for 2 years. And I can also express myself freely without fear of being judged for swearing on the internet.
And spoiler, we do swear.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Mom.
I'm not.
I learned all of those words from you anyway.
I didn't. I learned them all despite her.
Well, I hope that can inspire a little bit of bravery in you guys that are listening.
Okay, so we're going to play a game. And it's going to be 2 truths and a lie.
I love it. I love it.
This came from Glassdoor's list of the top 10 best places to work in the U.S., large company edition. Okay. I'm going to read the company name and an employee quote. 2 are true, and 1 is a lie.
Okay.
All right, see if you can guess which one is the lie. In-N-Out Burger. Here's the quote. It is a great and supportive environment to learn how to collaborate and manage tasks under pressure. The next one is Sprouts Farmers Market. Great people, phenomenal benefits, interesting work, and a healthy work-life balance. And the last one. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's amazing I get to spend my workday in this great work. My coworkers are the best people. Many perks in this respect.
I hope it's not Sprouts because I love Sprouts, but I don't know. I feel like the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, someone would probably say that about them. In-N-Out Burger probably sucks. I'm going to say the lie is In-N-Out Burger.
All right. Well, you're wrong.
Ugh.
The truth is Sprouts is the 6th worst place to work according to Glassdoor.
No.
Many of the reviewers on Glassdoor are critical of their managers, saying they are a negative factor in their job experience. Dozens of reviewers say management has a lack of maturity and complain about the high turnover rate among store management, which makes it difficult for employees to know what to expect. The quote, great people, phenomenal benefits, interesting work, and healthy work-life balance, is actually from Glassdoor's #1 pick for the best places to work in 2025. Bain and Company, which I kept reading as Brain and Company, which made me think of Pinky and the Brain. But really, it's a global consultancy firm and not a lab rat devising a plan to take over the world. In-N-Out Burger is actually number 3 of the top 10. And the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints is actually number 8 of the top 10.
Okay, it's time for Email Mad Libs.
Woohoo!
Email Mad Libs. Okay, so I'm going to need an adjective from you.
Holy.
Okay, another adjective.
Pretty.
Okay, and a scary adjective.
Ugly.
How about a noun?
Boy.
And another plural noun.
Chickens.
Okay. And then a huge number.
Oh, I wish I remembered that number that I gave you from the George Pullman.
Oh, yeah.
87,567,000.
Okay. I'm just going to say 87 million.
All right.
Okay. Couple more. This is kind of a long one, but I think you're going to appreciate it. All right. An adjective.
Let's go with bad.
Okay. Another adjective.
Glorious.
A noun.
Boat.
Okay. This is getting interesting. An adverb.
Hurriedly.
A unit of time.
A week.
And a verb. Last one.
Push.
I'm going to email this to you and let you read it.
Dear Ivy, I wanted to take a moment to address some holy concerns about productivity and engagement within the team. While I appreciate the pretty work you and most of your colleagues put in, I have noticed a few ugly patterns that could impact the future of your role here. I shouldn't have to remind anyone, but this is a fast-paced environment and boys are always evolving. Lately, it seems like some employees are struggling to keep up with shifting chickens, which makes me question whether they are truly committed to the company's success. If we're not all giving 87 million%, we risk falling behind. And in today's economy, that's not a position anyone wants to be in. Additionally, I've received feedback from leadership that certain individuals aren't as bad or glorious as they should be. We can't afford to have weak links on the team. Remember, everyone here is replaceable, and we only keep those who add clear boats. I trust that you will take this feedback hurriedly and make the necessary adjustments. Let's touch base later this week to discuss your long-term fit with the company. In the meantime, I encourage you to push on how you can better align with our high-performance culture. Looking forward to seeing improvement. Crazy Train, Director of Operations, Aussie Core.
Yay!
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
I always have holy concerns about productivity.
I know. And such pretty work.
I know.
But boys are always evolving.
They always are. Or are they always...
What was the thing about chickens? That was good.
I closed it, but the chickens was good. Keeping up with shifting chickens.
Keeping up with shifting chickens.
Go, chef. It's time to shift the chickens. So this week I have a vocabulary word, Katie.
So exciting.
So
I'm ready to learn.
I was in the gym today chatting with a client and I told him about our first internet troll.
Oh!
And he said to me, "Oh, sounds like a troglodyte." And I said, "Do tell." And he said, a troglodyte. So I looked it up. Do you know what this word means?
I know vaguely what it means.
A person characterized by reclusive habits or outmoded or reactionary attitudes. And the other definition is basically a caveman.
Yeah, that is so spot on, though. Like, I just kind of thought a troglodyte was like an ugly son of a bitch.
Yeah, and I cut out the first definition, but the first because it was definitely like cavemanish, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I liked the reclusive habits or outmoded
Reclusive
or
habits.
reactionary attitudes. Mhm.
Yep. Troglodyte.
Mhm.
Could you use that in a sentence, darling?
That gentleman today that told you that it was wishful thinking when you said you had a brain is quite a troglodyte.
Yes, he was. Boy, I really hope that somebody gets inspired to be brave, because
Me too.
We've showed you guys, or we've talked about some very inspiring people on this podcast. We talked about the Match Girls.
Mhm.
And next week, we're going to be talking about the Radium Girls.
Yep.
Right, Ivy?
Yes, the Radium Girls. And don't be afraid to leave your bad boss like I was for way too many years, because I did not spontaneously combust.
You didn't?
No, I'm here and I'm happy and I'm healthy and I can sleep at night and I'm not worried constantly, and it's so great.
Do you think that you ever would have left if she didn't fire you?
Yeah, I want to say yes, but I like I said earlier, I did say no to her request, because let me tell you, if I had said yes to her, if I had said, sure, I'll continue to pay your bills, that would not be all.
Yeah, you would have been sucked back in.
I gray rocked the shit out of her. She asked if I'd still pay her bills for an hourly pay. I said, no, thank you.
If you enjoyed this podcast, then please like us, follow us, give us 5 stars, push all the buttons,
Do all the
and
things.
leave us a comment or a review or something. We have been really fortunate to have a little bit of upward momentum with our first episode, and I'm really excited to see where we go with this.
So exciting. We already have 3 badges. Whatever that means.
I love badges. Yeah, Buzzsprout gave us badges, and there's like,
we're not really
ooh.
sure what it means, but we like them.
Yeah, totally.
You can also email us at stories@badbossdetox.com.
Yes, please email us. We would love to get some listener stories to share on the podcast. And once we get some good ones, we can include those every week. Sometimes we feel like we have too much material to put a listener story in every episode.
Yeah.
But eventually, I would like to have too many, to the point where we can just do a whole episodes of like story dump.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, just do a full episode of like listener story time. It'll be like Reading Rainbow.
Yes, that sounds
Don't take my
awesome.
word for it.
I want to do
So yeah,
that.
if you've got a story, please share it with us. We would love to call out your bad boss in an anonymous way that protects you, but we can all still laugh our asses off about it.
Yes.
You can also follow us on Facebook. Our Facebook is Bad Boss Detox. You can follow us on Instagram too, where I sometimes post memes and or little teasers and things like that. Images that we use for reference in the podcast. Our Instagram is Bad Boss Detox Pod. So, join us next time when we do another historical deep dive into the Radium Girls.
Yeah.
Da-da-da.
Mm-hmm. Radium Girls sounds more like, I don't know, a burlesque show or something, and not...
Yeah, it sounds like a fake band from a cartoon.
Yeah. Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, it sounds like the band from Scooby-Doo.
We're going to go see the Radium Girls tonight. Will they have snacks?
Yeah. Hell yeah, I'm wearing my Doc Martens and my fishnets.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, we enjoyed the historical episode so much, so we're going to do a little bit more historical research, a little book report for you guys. So stay tuned for that. We hope you guys have a great week, and we'll be back next time. We're posting new episodes every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, so follow.
Yeah, love to have you. All right. Bye, Ivy. Have a good week.
Bye, Katie. You too.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.